Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for having this hearing today, and I want to make very clear from the beginning that the behavior we've seen in the media in regard to some of the adverse interactions on airplanes is completely unacceptable. It needs to be a civil experience for everyone on the plane, and obviously there's additional safety considerations for being tens of thousands of feet up in the air in a metal airplane when thinking about this. Flight attendants, gate agents, and other airline employees have the right to go to work without the fear of being harassed, intimidated, abused, or assaulted, period. FAA is correct for strenuously enforcing the rules and regulations that are applicable to air travel and for holding people accountable for failing to comply. And that unruly and illegal behavior shall not be tolerated, period. Data shows that there are more cases of unruly behavior and that we are seeing a spike or increases. And I think it's important to look at the causes, to look at how we can mitigate that, to how we can solve the problems. There have been, I believe the chairman noted, 4,284 complaints of unruly passengers as of September 14th. But let's remember that so far this year, more than 350 passengers have flown. 350 million passengers have flown. So if you do the math there, that's 0.001, and that's like comparing the population of New Roads, Louisiana, a town that I represent, that y'all haven't heard of, but you should go visit Falls River, it's a lot of fun, to the population of the entire country. So the vast majority of flights occur without these types of air rage incidents. I'm worried that this hearing may convey to people on the outside that getting on an airplane is a wild and unruly experience, and I think that it's really important for us to convey to folks that that's absolutely not the norm, that's the exception. And I'll say it again, 0.001% of passengers end up having an unruly incident. But I also think that we've got to look at this not just from the perspective of the airlines or the airline employees or others, we've got to look at this thing holistically. Mr. Chairman, I want to read some statistics. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, in January 2021, 4 in 10 adults reported symptoms of anxiety or depressive disorder, up from 1 in 10 adults. So 4 in 10 now, it was up from 1 in 10 from January to June of 2019. Overall, 2020 values show a 50% increase overdose-related cardiac arrest, a 50% increase in cardiac arrest related to overdose. Mental distress, the number of March 2020 calls to the disaster distress line at the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, was 891% higher than March the year before. And perhaps a little bit closer to home for some of us here, the Capitol Police have reported 4,135 threats against lawmakers during the first 3 months of 2021 alone, putting the number of threats on track to double those from last year. Mr. Chairman, my point here is that we're seeing increased anxiety in society, whether it's mental health and depression, it's domestic violence, it's substance abuse, mental distress, or other types of challenges across government. Now let's look specifically at the air travel experience. From the passenger perspective, maybe it's a person or a family that doesn't travel often, doesn't travel as often as some people here perhaps. They have to think about packing their bags, getting their kids all together, getting to the airport in time, getting everything in the car, finding a parking spot, getting on the shuttle, getting in line at the airport to check bags in, getting in line at TSA, which who knows how that experience is going to go. I recently had a TSA agent make me walk through the metal detector 4 times because I was told that I wasn't walking through it right. I don't even know what that looks like. I've walked through metal detectors thousands and thousands of times. I do it every day here, and I was told I walked through it wrong. I had another TSA guy tell me that I didn't let the dog sniff me properly. I don't even know what this stuff means. Now let's keep going. So then you get into the airport, you get to buy your $6 bottle of water, your $12 granola bar, you get to sit on a plane, and yes, it's packed. And just like my flight experience coming here, I got up at 4 a.m. this week, I left the house at 5 a.m., And let's see, by the time when I walked in the airport and finally got to DC because of problems, I think it was 8 or 9 hours later, wearing a mask the entire time. Mr. Chairman, I think it's important for us to contrast that with the experiences people maybe had at the airport where they sat down at a table with other people and were sitting there eating without mask on. We've seen all the data showing how clean the air on flights are, and the low transmission rates are virtually non-existent transmission rates that are on airplanes. So, Mr. Chairman, here's my point. I'm glad we're having this hearing, but I think it's really important that we look at this from the passenger perspective as well. I met with Tampa Airport yesterday. The guy used the term trying to decompress the experience. How do we look at this holistically and decompress that entire experience from parking to TSA to bags and everything else to make this a lower stress experience? So, Mr. Chairman, I look forward to hearing from the witnesses today, and I'm hopeful that we can move in a direction that truly is productive. I'm excited, they're optimistic that some of the data FAA released today showed a significant decline in air rage incidences, and I hope that we can build upon that success. Yield back.